Some weeks are better than others. The week before Easter was one of those weeks for me. On the Wednesday before Easter, we were heading to a Switchfoot concert in Sydney, which makes it an awesome day anyway. We were going to get Subway near the concert venue to grab something to eat before the show, but the line was pretty long, so we kept walking to Gloria Jean's, where it so happened that Chad, John, and I think Josh happened to be grabbing something to eat before the show as well. Josh is one of the merch slash stagehand slash guitar tech guys for Switch, as far as I can tell. Thanks for your work, man, whatever it is that you do. I screwed up enough courage to have a quick chat with them, though I'm sure I made a fool of myself as I could hardly construct an intelligent sentence. And I got a thumbs up from Chad. No made, and we weren't even at the concert yet. After a bit of a walk, we managed to get pretty close to the stage when we got into the venue. Not right at the front, but still better than I've managed at any other concert, never mind a Switchfoot one. And the concert was awesome, as any Switchfoot concert is. After the concert, I was refreshing Twitter every 20 seconds or so in case John announced an after show, as he does from time to time. And he did. So we ditched our ride home, sorry Matt, and headed straight back to where John said he'd be. As we were just randomly following John, Brad Corrigan from Dispatch spotted John. They'd just had a concert across the road, and he decided he would come along too. So we got to listen to John do some of his solo stuff and some other random songs for a while.
Oh, I am a second man now. Oh, I am a second man now. And you're raising the dead in four voices.
My friend Brad Corrigan.
Come on.
And we're friends. We're on a worldwide tour.
That's right, we are.
We hit
Vermont,
Colorado.
Parentheses India.
Colorado. He skipped India. He bailed out on India, but
Maybe I'll do this.
can't be everywhere.
It's gonna work great.
Dude, okay. So what? For those of you in the back, he's got a trash can and a snare drum. Feels like that's where dreams come from.
That's right.
You look up the definition of what dreams are made of.
This is the Wikipedia dream
Right there.
here.
Wikipedia dream. Because you can trust everything on the internet.
One lucky young lady even got happy birthday sung to her.
Happy birthday, dear Kate. Happy birthday to you.
Now, that's probably the last time you're ever going to say it. It's hard. Trash can. It's all downhill from here.
After John was dragged away by his road manager, Shelley and I had to walk to Central Station, get a train, and then after an hour's trip, I had to keep walking to work to pick up my car while Shelley waited at the petrol station. We got home at 2:30 that morning, so I only got 3.5 hours sleep before I had to get up for work, but it was totally worth it. One of the best nights of my life, no doubt. After a night as awesome as that, Shelley and I decided, at very short notice, that we'd go to Easterfest up in Toowoomba in Queensland. So we found somewhere to stay, booked plane tickets to Brisbane, and finally found a place that still had cars for hire. Friday morning, we drove to Newcastle Airport, flew up to Brisbane, and found that because someone had had an accident, our hire car had been upgraded. After driving to Toowoomba and dropping our stuff off, We headed to the festival grounds and promptly got rained on. We went to see Micah Bornay perform some of his stuff, as Shelley likes a lot of what he does. Day one of the festival, and the ground is already looking like this. Easterfest is notorious for its mud and rain. Gives you an idea of what we were in for. We grabbed a few things from about the only convenience store that was open and headed back to where we were staying for a bit of a rest. After grabbing a couple of hours sleep in the afternoon, that night I went back to Queen's Park through some pretty crazy fog. Even in the short time we'd been gone, the ground had gotten worse. That evening, Red was the main attraction.
Talks about when you're feeling like you're at the end of your rope, and you call out to God to ask Him to breathe life into you. Let me see us really.
This was their first ever show in Australia, so it was pretty cool to be able to see that. The mist was still hanging around after the show as well. If anything, it seemed to have become thicker. The next day, I spent pretty much the whole time following Switchfoot around the various events they were doing at Easterfest and hearing a couple of cool stories from them that I haven't heard before.
Well, last time you were here is the year of Easterfest that we try and avoid talking about. I believe that...
One of the scariest nights of my life. I hope everyone doesn't have nightmares just thinking about it.
I remember we were all over there. What started as a night of about 15,000 people dwindled to a night of about 500. And those 500 Switchfoot fans were locked in the main stage and had 6 inches of water in their feet.
Yeah, it was more than that because I jumped down with you guys. It was like all the way up to here, too. Jesus. I remember, the thing I remember most was the cops saying, "Don't go on stage. Go on stage. Get off stage. Don't get off stage."
So for memory, because I was emceeing that night, and I'm not sure whether this is allowed to be public or not, but they got to a point of deciding that it would be safer to keep a certain amount of people in main stage, so put you guys out on stage to keep them there, than to let a horde of people run through. So you were used by the police. Yes.
Finally, rock and roll and the police. We finally see eye to eye on this one.
But is that the most insane show you played, or are there other stories bigger than that?
That's a big one.
Well, I was wondering if you guys tried Vegemite and what you thought.
Okay, true story. When I was in high school, I came over here on an exchange program. So some unfortunate Australian family got me, and some other kid went to the States. And I came back determined that I was going to go to college here, I was going to live here for the rest of my life, and that meant that I needed to like Vegemite. As a poor college kid, I would have to survive on Vegemite sandwiches. And I came home with a bottle of Vegemite, and for like days I kept trying it, and I still hate it. And that's why I never moved to Australia, you know?
That night was the big event that pretty much everyone at the festival went to go and see. This meant that it was just about impossible to get a good spot near the stage. that didn't really matter, as John decided to fix that for us in his typical fashion.
I was waiting for this.
After the show, Shelley went to go see Micah and some other spoken word poets, while I went and waited for John's official after show. I knew there'd be a lot of people and was hoping it didn't rain, as a lot of us were going to get wet if it did. But it only started sprinkling right at the end, and hearing John again is well worth getting a little rained on.
Caroline, the middle finger queen of the never mind. It's been a little while since the second time I knew that you never come home. Caroline, you were just a child in a fire line. You were just a kid when your mama died. Daddy couldn't make it alone. And no wonder out loud where your heart is now. Where your heart is now. Where your heart is now. Where your heart is now, Caroline.
John and his sound guy stayed with us until midnight, even though they were leaving to get to the airport at 3 a.m. Those guys are awesome. Shelley managed to catch the last couple of songs as well, which is cool. By now, the only way to stay out of the ankle-deep mud was to stick to the very edge of the walkways. Next morning, after doing my best to get some of the mud off my shoes, we were up and heading back to Brisbane for our flight to Newcastle and then the drive back home. So, a quick chat with John and Chad, Red's first Australian show, 2 Switchfoot shows, and 2 of John's after shows. I'd call that a good week.